Um, so today, really what I wanted to do was do more than just talk about David. I was going to do a performance, a little dance performance around here, just for a few minutes, using an Occupy tent, trying to reference David's association with Occupy Wall Street and the Occupy movement around the world, really. So it's a performance I've sort of done similar before, but I've adapted it for this context, and so I'll just do this for a few minutes and just give a bit of drama to the situation, I suppose, and then afterwards, after I've done this, we can perhaps invite people to say something if they want to, maybe into this space, so that it gets included into their live stream and their thing. So I'll just kind of start with, I don't think I'm going to try and explain it because I'm not sure how much sense it makes, really. So whoop. Thank you very much. So that was what I wanted to do for some reason. So now we've done that little performance, which might draw some interest. Maybe some of you could come forward and perhaps speak here to someone. Anyone want to say anything? Or should I?
I want to say thank you for Topsy for organizing this and making this happen, and Michelle for filming it. My name's Leslie. I wanted to read a couple words from David. This is from his book, Direct Action. It says, the action is only genuinely revolutionary when the process of production of situations is just as liberating as the situation themselves. The entire process becomes an experiment, one might say, in the realignment of imagination, in the creation of truly non-alienated forms of experience. This is in a book that David wrote about a period in my life, in his life, that was full of a real effort to try and change the world in a way that was non-alienated, and it wasn't perfect. And David had an incredible mind of writing down what we were doing in such detail that when I saw the book, I was horrified and delighted, because it was like the level of detail was so intense. Now, my partner says, I don't think I said that, but David made it sound better than it, so he didn't care. It was like, it was an attempt to capture the motive power of change and imagination. And for that, it's such a gift to have his work in the world that helps us. And I guess we were talking earlier about his laugh, and I think that's like, we don't want to be too serious. Like, David would love today, but he'd also laugh at today, right? Like, he'd think this is so ridiculous that we're trying to do this. And he was a very funny guy, and he tried really fucking hard to make the world a better place, and I miss him a ton. That's it.
I guess for me, I kind of threw punk rock in the set when I was a teenager, kind of got into anarchist politics and became a very, very boring scold out of it. A lot of it is all just about like, oh, everything is always wrong, change it, believe what I believe. So that got very boring for a lot of people, including myself. And I kind of moved away from that type of, well, I never changed my analysis or view on the world. I just kind of stopped talking about it or trying to do anything about it. So one of the things I loved about David Graeber and his writing was that he did inject all the fun into it. He injected the joy into it. And he never actually came up with a solid answer, which I liked. He left it all up to, if we're going to sit around creating a better world after coming through the educational system, the culture we came through, we have to have a sense of play. We have to have a sense of joyfulness to it. And, I'm sitting across from Peter Thiel, giggling at him and calling him an idiot. It was a lot of fun. You can see that video there where they have a debate on YouTube. And a couple of things that he was able to see I was blown away is I work in high-tech design and research, and he's talking about specifically in Utopia Rules where engineers are having a meeting, someone says, I have an idea, and someone Googles it real fast, and they said, oh, someone else tried that. I can't tell you the number of times I heard someone say to me, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, well, what if I got a better wheel, right? But there seems to be a lot of creativity that seems to be not just being stifled in the academy or in the workplace, but you've got a lot of very intelligent people out there who are just feel their creativity get crushed down when they might have come up with a better idea. And I think that's why, I like Utopia Rules the most. It was the most subversive thing I've ever read in my life, and I like to pass it on to friends and mess with their heads too. So I'm gonna miss you, David, and thanks for bringing the joy back into things for me.
I was going to say a little bit, read a bit about the book, Bullshit Jobs. I'll just skip that and get to the point. One of the things... Talk a bit louder? Fine.
You could take the mask off while you're speaking.
I was going to talk a little bit about bullshit jobs, or maybe read part of it, but I'll just skip to the point. As a young person who has struggled in the job market and struggled in jobs on account of the way the job market operates, I just find it so difficult to try and get it into the heads of old people, the kinds of experiences we have. Even when we do get employed, it's usually at something so soul-degrading that you just want to quit, and no one ever seems to understand. And that's why I felt it so refreshing to read Bullshit Jobs, because it's one of the very few things that I've actually ever been able to use to get it through their heads, like, this is what the world looks like now. It's not going to get better unless we do something about it. And it's the only thing I've ever actually been able to use to get them to really understand the way the world is going. And, I don't know.
Did you have the book with you?
I did. I was going to read a little bit about Eric. He was the young man who was hired by an architecture firm to oversee inter-office disputes and accidentally bidding on the same contract and all these sorts of things and suss it out. It turns out this was just the project of one of 7 different heads of the firm. Kind of a bullshit job in that no one really wanted him to actually succeed at this. They were all too busy being fancy lads who came from fancy lad school and were always trying to outcompete each other. Eventually, he just stopped doing anything at work. A pint at lunch on Friday became 2 pints every day. He would take business trips to Glasgow, talk with his friends about how much he wanted to quit. And when he talked to his parents would say, "What are you, an idiot? You've been handed a sinecure. You're getting paid to drink at the job. Like, what did you want out of the world? What could possibly be better than this? You're living the dream, man." And part of it is just the sorts of people who get into these jobs kind of get it drilled into their heads that they're just supposed to use the bullshit jobs as another means of getting to the real jobs, to get their hands on the real power. And, you know, I guess coming from a background where I interact with people who know what it's like to be on the other side of that power, or even just being a young person who's seeing their share of power in society continually diminish, it's just something inside you breaks when you see just that kind of cynicism, that sort of, oh, you know, you can just leave the grunt work to someone else. You should just treat even an important job like this, you can just treat it with like the least amount of respect possible, not thinking about anyone who works for you, not even trying to solve the kind of bullshit problem that caused your job to exist in the first place, not solving anything. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the frankness with which he describes these situations, or the wonderful people who contributed to the book, or the humor that was injected to the book. But again, I'm really thankful that I have this tool to really show the way the world is as it is. And even especially for things like, he didn't hold punches. He said nasty things about conservatives. He also said nasty things about Marxists. Because, you know, not actually listening to the people who do these jobs, not actually engaging with the real materialism at work here is like the least Marxist thing you can possibly do. I don't know, it just, the clarity of it, the really getting down to the root of it, the doing away with pretensions. I love everything about it, and I'm really sad that he's not here to tell us more.
So I would like to read a short part of the section of the book, which the topic of death and its larger moral context is incredibly influential, but I want to talk about the specific part that had most. Louder?
Speak up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the part that had most impact on my understanding of this world. So it's about freedom. And I think, we think a lot about freedom, and David really told us what it means. So here it goes. The most insidious effect of Roman slavery, however, is that the Roman law has come to play havoc with the idea of human freedom. The meaning of Roman word libertas itself changed dramatically over time, as everywhere in the ancient world to be free meant first and foremost not to be a slave, since slavery means above all the annihilation of social ties and the ability to form them. Freedom meant the capacity to make and maintain moral commitments to others. The English word free, for instance, is derived from German root meaning friend, since to be free meant to be able to make friends, to keep promises, to live within a community of equals. This is why freed slaves in Rome became citizens. To be free by definition meant to be anchored in a civic community with all rights, responsibilities that entailed. In the second century AD, however, this had began to change. Jews gradually redefined libertas until it became almost indistinguishable from power of the master. And so, I just want to a couple of words. So, and then from there we can see the classical liberal tradition going. So, this is a very good point, because this means that, freedom isn't based on horizontal structures but on vertical. It's based on moral community of equals, and furthermore, that means it's ultimately based on love. It's based on community, on recognition of our common humanity and infinite and potential value that David saw from everyone he wrote about and encountered. And so I think that's an important lesson, that this field is where we have most advantage. Banks have the money, corporations have the internet, they have the assets, but this is what we have. The word conspiracy originally meant to conspire, to breathe together, and so if freedom means to be a part of a moral community of equals, it means it is this place, sitting face to face, breathing together, although one with the cause and sharing our love and passion for this wonderful man and his ideas and the infinite human potential that he tried to bring, then we're already free. And that's what he gave us, and I'm eternally grateful for him and for his paradigm-shattering work. So, thank you very much.